Hello, and welcome to our workshop on Theraplay. I am Jennifer Rijardo. I am the program manager for Raising Healthy Families at ISIS, and I will be your instructor today. You might be wondering, what is Theraplay? Theraplay is a playful, relationship-based approach that helps strengthen the bond between a child and their caregiver. Instead of talking about feelings, it focuses on experiencing connection through simple, joyful, structured interactions. It's especially helpful for kids who struggle with attachment, regulation, or trusting adults. You might be here because your child is displaying some unwanted behavior. Maybe it is deeply affecting your family life or things at school or their education in general. Theraplay is a form of therapy for children and their caregivers, but there's not a whole lot of talking. Talking happens naturally during interactions, but most of this therapy is about play and strengthening that bond and the different dynamics with our children through structured, playful activities. Let's get into it a little more. We like to use the image of a wheel in Theraplay to represent a child's behavior, and the reasons behind their behavior. So we will be talking about the wheel or the rubber part of the wheel, the spokes, and the hub. You can think of a child's behavior like a wheel rolling on the road. That side that everyone sees, that's the behavior. Uh, this represented by the rubber. Underneath that behavior are deeper needs that the child doesn't yet have words or skills to express. We break down into three parts. The rubber, like I said, this is what everyone sees. Um, it's the part of the wheel that touches the ground. It's their outward behaviors that adults, caregivers, and educators alike often notice first. Some of these behaviors may be tantrums, clinginess, avoidance or shutting down, defiance, overexcitement, behaviors that are testing to see what we do, attention seeking of many kinds. These visible behaviors are protective over the child. The child is using these behaviors or displaying these behaviors because they're trying to manage their stress or uncertainty in a situation that they don't know how to manage in any other way. The key takeaway here is that the behavior that we see is not the full story. We need to go underneath to examine the layers beyond the surface to discover the why of children's behaviors. We'll go into the middle now where the spokes are. This is the child's skills and capacities. And remember, a child's brain is still being built. It's actually being built for the first 25 years of their life. So all of the skills and capacities are in this growing, building, evolving phase. These spokes connect the outside behavior to the inside underlying emotional needs. So we'll get to the core, those emotional needs, but the middle part here, these capacities and skills, are um, are the things that we can work on to strengthen a child's emotional regulation, their capacity to deal with stress, their outward behaviors. These abilities are things such as self-regulation, impulse control, understanding their emotions, trusting adults, Following an adult's lead, their capacity to stay calm during transitions, the ability to accept nurturing and guidance from an adult, their flexibility. If a child has short or uneven spokes, the wheel doesn't roll smoothly. This means that even small bumps, like transitions, surprises, or requests, can lead to big reactions. So in Theraplay, we work on those spokes. We work to strengthen their skills and capacities. And we do this through playful, guided, relationship based interactions. So we've now gone over the rubber of the wheel and the spokes. We're going to go to the hub, that very middle part there that says Theraplay. This is where our children's core emotional needs lie. The hub is the center of the wheel. It represents a child's deep fundamental needs, the ones all human beings have. They include the need to feel safe, the need to feel cared for, the need for connection, for comfort, for structure, to feel seen and enjoyed, to belong, and more. When these needs aren't consistently met, either earlier in life or even just during a stressful time, that wheel gets wobbly. Theraplay works from the hub outward by meeting those core needs through the 4 dimensions. You can see them on this wheel, but we're going to go into them in more depth further on in this workshop. This is the colorful middle section of wheel. You can see in yellow we have structure, in light blue engagement, in orange nurture, and in dark blue challenge. When the hub is supported and strong, the spokes grow and the rubber or the behavior that we see becomes calmer and more regulated. Okay. I'm going to go back through these 4 domains of Theraplay and go into a little more depth. So first, we're going to go into structure. When parents provide appropriate structure for their kids, it communicates to them, I am in charge in a safe and loving way. All of that's important. I'm in charge in a safe and loving way. Structure gives children the message that the adult is the leader. And because the adult is the leader, the world is predictable and safe. In practice, this looks like clear and calm guidance from the parent, routines during the activities that we do. The adult sets up the play and leads it. And there are gentle limits that feel protective but not punitive. Structure helps children relax because they don't have to control everything. The second domain is engagement. When a parent has high engagement with their child, they're communicating to them, you're delightful and I want to connect with you. Engagement helps the child feel truly seen and emotionally connected. This includes eye contact, warm facial expressions, playful interactions, shared attention. Engagement activities are usually fun, social, and involve face to face elements where the adult shows genuine delight in the child. Engagement is a large part of building a child's self esteem. The third domain is nurture. When a parent has high nurture, is nurturing with their child, they're communicating you're worthy of care, comfort, and gentleness. This domain also is very important for building a child's feelings of self worth. Nurture helps a child feel loved, soothed, and valuable, especially if they didn't always receive consistent caregiving. Within Theraplay, this is built and looks like gentle touch, such as hand lotion, lotioning hands, brushing hair, wrapping in a blanket. There are feeding activities in every Theraplay session, using a soft, warm voice, and small, simple acts of care that the child can safely accept. Nurture strengthens a child's sense of worthiness and helps them internalize comfort. The fourth and final domain in Theraplay is challenge. When a parent has the appropriate expectation of challenge for their child, they communicate to them, I believe in you and you can do hard things. Challenge builds confidence by offering small, achievable tasks that stretch a child just a little without overwhelming them. In Theraplay, this can look like a game where you are challenging yourself to blow a feather across the table to each other, balance games, simple motor tasks, and trying something new while the adult supports the child. When the child succeeds and the adult celebrates, challenge can boost self esteem and resilience. Okay, so let's go into now that you know the structure or the why behind Theraplay and the four dimensions, let's go into what an actual Theraplay session would look like. Theraplay sessions are usually short, playful, and always adult led. They're often between 20 and 45 minutes, depending on the needs of the child. The adult caregiver leads the activities, with the therapist modeling and guiding them along the way. Children don't have to come up with these play ideas, so they're able to relax into the session and get the therapeutic benefits of it that they need. The therapist is the guide for the caregiver. Depending on the parent child relationship, the therapist will often demonstrate with the child how each activity is done. Then the caregiver practices the activities with the therapist coaching and showing how it's done if there are any difficulties. The goal here is to strengthen the relationship between the caregiver or parent and the child. It's not to strengthen the relationship between the therapist and the child. So the emphasis, whether it's slow to start with or not, will eventually be the parent or caregiver completing activities with the child. Sessions use short, simple activities based on the four dimensions. These are a couple activities from each of the four domains. For structure, there's a fun activity where a child is wrapped tightly in toilet paper and on the adult's count must bust out of it. There's a fun game called Zip Zap that is a bit of a mirroring game. This is an activity within engagement. Within challenge, there's an activity called Bubble Pass, which is kind of like blowing a bubble back and forth to one another, like volleyball. And in the nurturing domain, there's always a feeding element in the Theraplay session, and generally something called caring for hurts or looking at old scars or special spots that need some attending to on the child. Throughout the therapy session, the therapist will track the child's regulation. The goal is not for a child to is for a child to not become too overwhelmed and excited or to withdraw. So the therapist works by monitoring the child's behavior and adjusting the session as needed so that the child can stay in that optimal regulated middle zone of being engaged without too excited. They might slow things down, add nurturing activities, um, or more high engagement activities to keep the child feeling safe. The goal of a Theraplay session is connection, not correcting behavior. In fact, the therapist will try quite hard to avoid correcting behavior in any kind of punitive way. They will not focus on consequences, rewards, or even speaking about misbehavior. Instead, through play, their play strengthens the relationship between the parent and child, creates a positive shared experience between them, and helps the child internalize safety, attunement, and trust with the parent. Many parents and caregivers seek out therapy because of their child's behavior. The beauty of Theraplay is that the behavior change is a side effect. What is the most important thing is that there is a stronger attachment between parent and child. The behavior change is just icing on the cake. Next, you will see a short video of myself and my 10-year-old daughter Theta being led through a therapy session with our home visitor Angela. You will see some of the elements that we've talked about in this workshop, but this is a shortened version of a session. So keep in mind that an actual session would be longer and would likely include more activities.